and I just crumbled and I fell to a heap and I was like, oh my God. And then I felt again these angel wings come up from behind and just envelop me. It was the most downy, soft, unbelievable, soft, loving
Mm.
cocoon that was put around me. And they gave me a message and um, about you're okay, you're not an idiot, because I've been told I in my marriage that I was such an idiot. I need to keep my mouth shut. Nobody ever wants to hear what I have to say. And I would
Mhm.
never leave him because who would want somebody as stupid as me? Because
Right.
you
Real
can't manage
abuse.
your own
Yeah.
life. Why would anybody want to manage it? Ah, it was anyway, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, which I now no longer believe. But at the
Hmm.
time, it was kind of harsh. But they were holding me, telling me, things are going to change. You're not that person. And there was a communication. And when they opened up, I was a different person. I went, they're right. They're
Hmm.
right. I need to, I
Wow.
need, I need to make these changes. So, and then it was so quiet, and you can't imagine with all the sirens and ambulances and fire engines and people running around trying to see if the thing's going to burst into flames and get people away from it and all the chaos, and then they had medics there asking people, are you okay? Do you need anything? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But
Right.
they're trying to move them away. So the chaos was ridiculous. And then all of a sudden when the wings went away, all the silence stopped and the noise came back. It was just a
Hmm.
like a circus of noise. And these firefighters came over and lifted me up and walked me back, one on each arm to make sure I
Hmm.
was okay to whatever. And then got to speak to the FBI because
Yeah, well,
they
this is the part that shocked me too. The people in the back of the plane or past that wall and past the galley, they didn't know this happened.
Mhm,
They didn't know that they were on a flight that possibly is not making it back.
mhm. They had no idea in the very back. They had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, which is so
And
shocking,
they're evacuating and going, when did this happen?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm
And I
sitting there.
had asked, didn't they feel like the bumps or all of that? But
Well, yeah. And it was a different time because when we got off and they started sorting through people, of course, immediately there were authorities and
mhm,
anybody that was around the hole, they
mhm.
put separate and they took everybody else and they were so ill prepared. And it's not a dig on United or the airport. It was just the
Everybody was like
times.
that then.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just didn't know what to do back then with people. So they took these people that were not around the hole into the Honolulu airport, and it's pretty open, right?
Hmm.
So they had terminals, these long terminals, and they just put them up against the wall and strung some police tape. So they had to stand on one side of the tape, and the other passengers were coming and going and looking at them like, what's
Yeah,
happening?
what's going on? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was very, it's improved a lot since then, how they take care of
Yeah.
people.
But
But they
then
took us
your
up,
group that was sitting by the hole,
they
what
took
did they
us
do with you guys?
we went up to the red carpet room and one at a time they took us in to sit with the FBI and they were very serious about this. Did you see anybody funny? Did you smell anything? Did you see
They thought
anything?
it was a bomb.
Totally thought it was a bomb. Then you
Yeah.
get done talking with that group, they bring in another group and we do the same thing because they want to see if, different questions. Maybe, I don't know why, but
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
if you have better rapport with this other group or something.
Something
But
else
we're in
comes up.
shock.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you all I know. I'm sitting there and it's gone. All I know.
Yeah. Right.
It's all
Right.
I got.
Yeah.
So they kept us separate. And while we were in the red carpet room, and everybody else was a couple pretty much.
Hmm.
And I didn't pay any because I was by myself because I was going to work. And I just went over and sat on the sofa in the red carpet room and fell asleep. And somebody came over and brought me that little bitty pillow and the little bitty blankets you used to have, like child size.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
laying there and they said, well, get some rest. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That's
go to sleep.
amazing to me too, that they didn't send you to the hospital right away, no matter what you said. Yeah. Because you were so much in shock. You really had no idea. You could have been missing a limb. In fact, wasn't there somebody that was that on your flight? Somebody whose shoulder had been disconnected or
Oh,
something?
yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
they didn't even know it. What
Yeah,
was that about?
there was a gentleman, he took some really good photos during the incident and they were
Which is
published.
weird right there.
Yeah, he was in the first row behind the bulkhead.
Hmm.
of coach. And he had a big, back in the day when you had the camera with the lens that you had to
Right.
turn and stuff. Well, he had these pictures taken, and then I found out who he was. He was and I'm not going to get this right, but he was a commander of a special operations parachuting unit for the Australian military. So
Hmm. He was
um,
trained.
he was highly trained.
Right.
And he said he knew it wasn't a bomb by the signature of the hole. So he
Hmm.
said he wanted to take pictures so if they ever found the camera, there would be some evidence for
Right.
people. So
Right.
he went to pick up the camera, and I'm in a couple of those photos. One is showing me holding on to the people, which is extraordinary. They got that, and the other one was just before I went down the slide. And I'm like, how out
Wow.
of five pictures, I'm in two of them or whatever. It was
Are
pretty
they
interesting.
in your book? I mean, I was so
Um,
busy looking at the hole in the wires, I might have
yeah,
missed you.
yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But that's how I found out who he was. Anyway, he was saying when he went to pick up his camera, he couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, and again, everybody's in shock. He looks
Right.
down, his arm is bent backwards. The cart, somehow they had gotten it out. I don't know, but some of the debris had broken his elbow. So it was
Mm.
just hanging there. So he picks it up and sticks it into his jeans. And so it's stabilized and is taking these pictures with one hand.
Right. Now that is shock. You
That
know,
is
yeah.
that's a trained, I mean, special ops guy. I mean,
Right.
everybody else is going, "Bah," and he's going, I gotta film
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So
I got to take pictures.
so I asked him later, we figured out who we were and stayed in touch a little bit. I said, what were you thinking about during that? He said, I was kind of mad because I had a date with this really hot lady that I've been trying to get a date with, and now I'm going to miss it. That's what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
ended up getting married, by the way, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, man, that took me forever. I'm thinking, that's what you were thinking about. So it opened up to what, different people where
What you
they
go
go
through. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
those kinds of, you go, where did you go there? You don't help. I mean, you can't help where you go. That was important to
Right.
him.
Right. And he
So
didn't have any other worldly experiences, or he didn't share them with you?
he didn't share them. He was a
Yeah.
commander of a special ops unit. So he didn't,
Yeah.
he was a
So he's,
chatty about his background.
yeah. So he didn't share if he saw wings or, felt any
No,
of that. Yeah.
no.
That's pretty wild.
But there was a lot of debris, and anyway, every single flight
And
crew
this
member
was,
was injured.
yeah, this was two floors. This was the old
Yes,
planes that had the spiral staircase and
yes.
the floor. And you said one of the stewardesses or stewards came down. And,
No, it was a cockpit member. It was the
oh,
engineer.
was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was there was the pilot, co-pilot, and engineer on that. Three people in the cockpit. And
Hmm.
they didn't know what had happened. They knew the plane had made a move because
A
obviously, it's
weird
a lot of
move.
matter and
Yeah.
motion. And then all of a sudden, so it did this bump, and now they had indicators two engines were on fire, and they're like, what is going on? We're just 10 minutes out of Honolulu.
Hmm.
So one of the guys came down, and I saw him come down the stairs, and there was the purser, Laura, she had grabbed the stairway when it happened.
Right.
How, I mean,
How she didn't get sucked out.
I
Yeah.
can't even, we can't even talk about it. It's so creepy for her. That
I
she happened to
bet.
be right there and had the instinct to do it in less than a split second. But
Hmm.
anyway, I saw him come down, and when he got to the bottom of the stairs, he just jolted, and he looked, and I mean, you could just see. He was
His
like, oh my
face.
God.
Yeah.
And he went running upstairs. Well, good thing that meant the flight crew was still alive, because Lockerbie had just happened, where
Yeah.
their bomb was the size of a basketball,
Hmm.
but it happened at a greater altitude and greater speed, and it knocked it out, the pressurization, it just, so the plane was trying to, on autopilot, it tried to self-correct. And when
Yeah.
it did that, it broke the nose off. So here's the flight crew going one direction, and the body of the airplane
Oh, God. Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But based on your experience, they may have gone into that zone, that quiet
We,
zone.
yeah, because people were exiting the aircraft at however high they were, 30, 40,000 feet, whether
Right. Right.
1,000, who knows. But yeah,
God.
that had just happened. So and Captain Cronin, I got spent some time with him afterwards because I said, I'm going to buy you a beer. I don't care where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Buy you a beer. So I flew to Reno and had lunch with he and his wife. Anyway, he was explaining that how Lockerbie happened,
So
and
he
then
thought about that while he was flying this plane?
afterwards, they
Oh,
were
okay.
focus.
Yeah.
But they couldn't dump
Jeez.
fuel. I mean, they were just, he was explaining everything that every reason we should not have made it back. So he was
Right.
as astounded as anybody else that we did.
Yeah, yeah. And don't they use this flight now, you told me, as simulators for pilots?
Yes. And
Yeah.
well, yeah, it was such an unusual thing. And they put the actual, what do I want to say, fact stuff
Hmm.
into a computer and say, land this airplane with all this stuff happening. And they can't.
Yeah, nobody's been able to, huh?
Not with those
How did,
indicators.
so it was really when you saw that hand come underneath and
And
that
even the
pilot said,
captain
God.
said, he
Yeah,
said, I did not land that airplane. He said there was a bigger power. And he was a
yeah.
very devout man anyway.
Right,
So,
right,
but I mean, when the captain says there's no way we should have made it back,
right. Yeah. You know,
thank you for sharing that,
right,
but
right.
yeah, there were, so anyway, that's very life changing. And
Hmm.
you and I have talked about it, why did it
Yeah,
happen? And maybe it was a reason for me to get reconnected with spirit because I was so removed from it with my
right.
messy personal life. But one thing I learned from the lady who gave me the reading,
Hmm.
and you and I have talked, we both are readers, and
Right.
I came back and pulled her aside, and she was my friend, and I said,
And is
okay,
this the lady before you went
this was the
on the plane?
teacher,
Yeah,
yes, who
okay.
said, gave me the hug.
Yeah,
She read my cards. Is what happened, which she never
yeah.
did for anybody. She
Right,
Anyway, she read my tarot cards, and she looked at me and she said, "You're going to be really happy to be back." And she was holding me when she said it. Now, all this is weird
right,
looking back, and I spent some time with her afterwards, and I said, "You knew that was going to happen, didn't you?" And she said, "Yes." But she said, I couldn't tell you because you would you have gotten on the plane if I'd have told you, well,
right.
it's going to blow up over Hawaii?
Yeah, yeah, really.
And she said, you had to have the experience. And so
Mm,
I'm very cautious of that when I do readings. I'm going to tell you what the outcome is versus how you might get there, because that's, people want to go, well, what's supposed to happen to me? Well, maybe I don't need to tell you that because I don't want to influence you. Sometimes there's too much information, right?
right,
I can
right.
see it, but I don't need to share it. I could say, you're going to be very pleased with the results,
Hmm.
or you need to be careful, or whatever. But I'm not going to go,
Right.
yeah, you're going to be in this horrible accident, and I wouldn't go on I-25 on Tuesday.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
even if you see it, you can't, right? It's
You
just
don't want to, you don't want to change
yeah, it's
their
the
really
ethics
their
of it.
trajectory. I'm not even sure, can you? Can you change it? I mean,
I-
if they had told you and you didn't get on that flight, could something have happened on another flight?
yes, exactly.
Something, yeah,
Then you've got to get, somehow I was going to have something dramatic happen to me
right.
that
That
opened my eyes. And
experience. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm glad, I was so grateful when I realized how she really, it was it was the right thing for her to do.
Hmm. Right.
That's
And
all I can say.
one thing I love about your story is you were fully here. Most NDEs, they go to the other side and they're no longer aware of what's going on here. They are on the other side and they'll talk about that. In your case, the other side came to you and you stayed fully human and fully aware, and the other side came to you
That's
and
a
allowed you to feel it, which is
and they
different.
Yeah, thank you, Barb. No one's ever pointed that out like that.
Yeah, yeah.
True. Maybe it wasn't an NDE. Maybe it was a different kind of connection. I don't know
Hmm.
what else to call it, but I saw
Right.
what I saw,
Yeah, and
and
felt what you felt. Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
There's
And there's too much other evidence to be able to say, well, that was all just shock. Like, when you saw the
no.
hand come underneath the plane, at that point you were how many feet up over the ocean
Oh,
with
we were
no
still
chance of making it back.
4 miles up. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And
basically it was telling you, oh no, we got you.
yeah, we
You're
got you.
not doing this. Yeah.
Or we got you if we do this. It was kind of, I
Right.
believe part of it, I could have had a heart attack or fallen out
Hmm.
of the hole. I
Right. Right.
broken my neck going down the slide. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's a lot of
You're
ways it could
freaking me out just talking about that
have,
stuff. I know.
could have happened.
Oh, anything at that point, anything. It's like, why did you make it through that? Why did that guy take your seat and not give it up? All of those questions. And I'm sure you've been through them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yes.
in your book, you talk about you did an acid trip afterwards,
Yes.
LSD trip,
Uh-huh.
and to try and integrate this whole experience. But in your book, you never discuss it much. You said for 7 hours you sat there, and then
Oh, yeah. All
yeah,
day.
yeah. But tell me what went on in that, in that trip, in that while you were going through the acid trip. Did you relive it or?
Oh boy, Barb, that's such a good question. I'm, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I'm not supposed to talk about it or something.
Plow through. Let's go for it.
Excuse me. I'm no stranger to LSD, let's put it that way.
Hmm.
And I knew
Child
I
of the
needed,
60s, we are.
yeah,
Yeah.
I lived in
Yeah.
Hawaii in
We
1969.
we were in the
Lo-
best party in history. I
Side
know.
note, I saw a little funny thing one day and it showed us in the 60s, us people,
Right.
and it said, it's a tough pill to swallow when your grandma is cooler than you'll ever be. Cars, music, clothes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's right.
Right, right, right. We did.
Grandma's
We had
cooler
the
than you
best
will ever
party
be.
in history.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's very, it's a, it's, it's an experience that really suits me because it opens up dimensions. It's like there's a house and there's a closet over there and it's got really pretty doors and I can go open that closet and I can see other parts of the house. There's another whole
Hmm.
room I didn't even know existed.
Right.
That's what it is for me. And everybody
Hmm.
else stays in the house. So I opened this closet and I laid there and just watched birds and just plugged it back into life. I needed to
Hmm.
plug into life because I'd unplugged with the emotional abuse I'd had.
Right.
And I went out that morning and put a beach towel in a lawn chair and I watched the sun come up, the sun go down, and I thought it was 10 minutes. It was the whole day. And I
Right.
thought, well, this is done. And then I went in and ran a bath and I put some candles around. I went, nope, it's not done.
Yeah.
Finished. And it was just, I had to get back into myself. I was so scrambled. I had to start putting the pieces together again.
Hmm.
And, they said, well, you should go to therapy. You should talk to somebody. And I'm like, no, they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
I had to be shown and accept the new changes in me versus talk about it.
Hmm.
I mean, it
Right.
was like
Right.
I laid there and put the puzzle back together. I was just shattered. I think
Did you
it's
go back through the experience at all or not really? It just kind
no,
of let you float back into life, the reality of life.
it was like, therefore what? Now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got all these pieces. What order do you want to put them back together?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you want this new you to look? Is
Hmm.
I've never talked about that. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wanted to be in that trip with you and take a
Yeah,
look at this.
it
What
was
happened here?
it was
And
the
you
yeah,
and you divorced, of course,
yes.
after that. So
1 year
yeah.
later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how else has that changed your life? And then I want to talk about some of the synchronicities you've
Um,
experienced where it's like, to me, it's like a high five or a hello from the other side. We're still with you. We're still
yes.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the 2 year anniversary, I ran into one of the flight attendants in a grocery store
Right.
that
That you had never been in before,
she had
right?
never been in it. I had never been in there. She
Mm-hmm.
walks up to me, says my name, and I'm like, and she goes, and I was flight crew on 811, and we just looked at each other and went, do you know what day it is? And we both went,
Right.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah. And that I've had things like that happen. And there's like you never see him before, you never see him after, but it is so poignant that you see him then.
She actually
That
was on a flight I was on. She was a crew member on a flight. I went to Sacramento. I remember that.
Yeah.
Normally I don't, but I got on and she looked at me and she grabbed, and I had an overhead bag, and she grabbed it and looked at my name tag, and she said, "I thought it was you." And I looked at
Wow.
her and was like, "Oh my God." So
Yeah. Yeah.
we were in coach, but she walked up front, came back, bought a bottle of champagne and just set it on the tray and kept walking.
Right. Right. You you stopped the flight too. So, you didn't come out of this completely unscathed. You stopped the flight from taking off until you felt secure about that. You
Oh,
want to
that was
tell us
another
that?
one.
Yeah.
I went back to Australia 8 weeks later with I had a group of people with me, and it took forever for them to. I had 65 people, and we were meeting more, and we're on a
Hmm.
Qantas flight, and we're sitting in San Francisco, and I could feel the plane. They were like, "It was. Why aren't we leaving?" And the captain came on and said, "We're having an issue with our cargo door."
Yeah, yeah.
I unbuckled and went right back to the galley and had words with the flight crew. And I wasn't, I just said, "You have to, I need with 4 stripes now down here." I said, "If he
Yeah.
doesn't come
You
down
you
here."
blurred a little bit. So you had them bring somebody with four stripes down
Yeah,
here?
I went into the
Yeah.
galley and I said, they said, "Ma'am, you have to be in your seat before we push back." And I said, "I know. And I'm not going back to my seat until I see the guy with 4 stripes on the captain. I want him
Yeah.
in the galley now. I need to talk to him." "Well, ma'am, no, I was just on 811 and that was a cargo door and I'm not doing that again. We're not,
Right.
no."
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
guy kept saying, "Do you want something to eat?" "No." So a flight crew member did come down. It wasn't the captain, and we had a little chat. And he convinced me, like whatever. But we did
Mhm.
anyway. I survived that one too.
Right, right.
I
But
mean,
they could not move until you were
oh,
sitting, and you knew that, and you weren't letting that plane move until you were sure. Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
I tried that today, I'd probably been thrown off the flight and banned.
Probably. Yeah.
You know.
Arrested. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
big
know.
time.
I know.
Big
But
time. Yeah, you
geez.
didn't do that. It was a very bold move. I mean, but I was like, we're having a cargo door problem?
Right, right.
No.
Recently there was a cargo door that blew out on a flight and they were in the air. Do you remember that? Within the last year, this
Yeah,
happened.
there's been a lot of doors and windows and things
Right.
happening.
Now, why did that not suck everybody out the way it did for yours? Or maybe it didn't take some of the rest of the plane with it. It was
Yeah,
just the cargo door.
yeah, who knows? And there was another incident of a cargo door blowing, and I don't recall the details prior to this happening, and there were deaths and it was a mess kind of thing.
Hmm.
So they knew it was a problem,
Right.
and they actually um, reconstructed the airplane and put it back into service.
Oh my
I think,
God. How
yeah,
come you could fly now? How come you can get on the plane?
well, it's back to the whole, this isn't really real. And I had my lesson, and I have to not look at it as a human, but as a spirit. And it's not going to happen again. I mean, I had to get to that point, and I'm perfectly comfortable flying now. I don't,
Isn't that amazing?
it is,
Yeah.
it's amazing to me too. But
Yeah.
again, it's like getting in a car back in the day.
Right.
I was,
Right.
I mean, we'd fly to San Diego for lunch because
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like a big
Right.
taxi. So,
Hmm.
but for a long time, and when I still am not all wrapped up in my own stuff, I keep my passenger seat empty. I put all my stuff in the back seat when I drive, so I have my angel with me. Just a sign of respect. I want you right here.
Right.
But post that, a lot of things started happening. A lot more messages would happen, and I'd listen, and it would actually affect me positively in some
Hmm.
way. And so, how I integrated into what we do and helping people on with energy, and we all have all this help around us, and we just don't listen. And one
Right.
of the big things they told me is, we don't even say thank you to them. They said, you, and again, maybe this is just my message, but
Hmm.
if you say thank you whenever anything good happens, you get, all the lights are green, even the stupid little
Right.
stuff. You
Right.
got $10 off in groceries. Say thank you, because they go, "Oh, you're welcome." And they kind of go, "Oh, goody, let's do something else fun." I mean,
They can
and
hear
that's
us. They're listening. Yeah. They're
yes.
paying
And
attention.
They just like to
Yeah.
be acknowledged too. I mean, yeah, they're
Hmm.
angelic beings and stuff, but they're playful, and thank you goes a long ways. People don't realize how far that goes, even in the spirit world.
Yeah, yeah. And now you do pay attention, where before
Much.
you were getting all these messages and you were blowing them all off or
Well, I
just
thought,
thinking they were odd.
or why would they talk to me again? I'm so stupid. Why would anybody want to
Yeah,
protect
and
me?
you had that too,
Yeah,
which
so
they
I was like,
wanted
ah,
that
that's not
gone. Yeah.
that wasn't me. So
Yeah.
I think, and a lot of, and everybody, and you know as well as I do, everybody has the ability to connect. I mean, they
Mhm.
want to connect. And
Right.
all you have to do is slow down and say, okay, I'm going to put this madness aside for a minute, sit quietly and see what I hear or
Hmm.
feel, or
Yeah.
let them touch you in some way, and then start build. It's like any relationship, like you and I. Hi, nice to meet you. Well, let's get
Yeah.
together. Now you start developing, we've got things in common. We things,
Hmm.
not in common, but we still,
Right.
everybody, it's like, I like this
Connection.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, the connection's
Connection.
made. Yeah. And
Hmm.
where it goes, who knows? But that's how they are. I mean, we're not that different. We are the same. We just are in this shell,
Right.
and they're out there. But I
That,
love when things happen in my house. I have things move around, and
yeah.
it makes me giggle. And it probably shouldn't. I probably should be scared, but I think it's funny because
Hmm. You've
and
seen
dying
the
is
other
not,
side. Yeah.
yeah, dying isn't that scary. I mean, it's not scary at all. It kind of makes you fearless because
Hmm.
everybody's in fear now. Oh my God, what if, what if, what if? Well, but it hasn't happened yet, which focus more on this happened. I need to handle it, and how you handle it can send you in a direction. You may get your car broken into and you go, well, this
Hmm.
is a mess. But how you handle it, do you go somewhere and when the guy that fixes it, you're really grateful for that? And then all of a sudden everything starts opening up a little bit more instead of anger,
Right.
my car's broken into. Now I got to do this. Well, we're
Right.
going to do that, but there's degrees of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
can go, well, that's interesting. Okay, I better
Mhm.
get it fixed.
I
I
think I
can't get,
shared with you something I heard on TV from Demi Moore actually recently. I
yes,
know. And she said one thing that she repeats to herself is why did this happen to me? Like a car being broken into or whatever. She says, why did this happen for me? And I thought that was exceptional.
that's really,
How that shifts everything. So thank you, Demi.
yes.
I know. I
That's from
know.
Ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
A great movie, by the way. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And I just think people, if they take time to get out of their own head, and I know I'm not belittling the
Hmm.
problems people have by any stretch, but sometimes you just need to go, okay, I need to just,
And you certainly want to do it in a very gentle, non-threatening, volunteer way rather than do it the way Sherry did
yes.
it. Which is,
Okay.
you didn't hear us before. How about now?
Yeah, they punched me right between the eyes. It's like, pay attention.
Right, right, right. How about now? You hearing us now? Yeah. Anyway, so I know you have to run to work and we have to bring this to a close, but where can everybody get your book and get hold of you? And what do you have coming up? And, talk about what
Oh,
you
thanks,
do and
Barb.
all.
Well, well, The View from 13F is the
Mm-hmm.
book. It's on
Which was your
Amazon.
seat that was left.
Yeah, that was my seat.
Yeah.
So, Amazon has it. If you'd like a personalized copy signed, it costs a little bit more because I have shipping and stuff. But you can
Hmm.
go to my website, Shari, Shari, Peterson, Son,
Hmm.
author.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And
And then you're doing readings. I know you're doing some readings at For Heaven's Sake in
yes, I'm
Denver.
doing readings for heaven's
Yeah.
sake, and I'm doing phone readings, so
Hmm.
you don't need to be in person.
Right.
And the schedules, we figured out the
Hmm.
scheduling, and it's all on the
Right.
website forheavensake.com. Barb's on there too, and Barb did
Hmm.
a reading for me, and it was really good.
No, good.
Really
And she
good.
did a reading for me, and now I want to hear what she left out because she said something earlier about that. Wait a minute. Well, what'd
I
you
saw your
leave
face.
out?
Well, we'll talk later. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we're in Denver for heaven's sake, and it's a good group of people. But
It's a great
I
group.
really
Yeah.
recommend Barb too. She's got a lot of insights, and she's
Oh,
fun.
thank you. And I
Yeah, she's a lot of
recommend
fun.
you, Sherry. You did a tarot reading for me that was fabulous.
Thank
Fabulous.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And coming away feeling like, ooh, like your wings, we've got you. Ooh, we've got you.
well,
We're safe
and
here.
yeah, thank you. And I just think people forget that. We all feel so disenchanted or
Right.
discombobulated and disengaged from people.
Right.
And
And isolated. Yeah. And
yeah,
isolated
isolated,
and on our
even
own. And
better.
yeah.
So I want people just to start going, okay, I need to, and we give up I don't like using this word, but I'm going to, our power. We give it
Hmm.
up so easily.
Right.
Somebody tells us something, and it's like, oh man, now it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, I can accept it or not accept it.
Yeah.
Do I
That
need
might
to
not be
hear that?
true just because you
Yes,
said it. Doesn't mean that it's true.
especially women. We women are
Yeah.
uh, complicated creatures, and men too. They have their, believe me, I'm not
Hmm.
discriminating, but especially us girls. I mean, we take
Right.
on so much emotionally, and
Right.
you got
Right.
to sort through it and make sure we're okay. We don't do that sometimes.
And
So
it's
I
all
don't want to.
about everybody else telling us rather than
Yes.
us, really putting it out there. Yeah.
So even in a reading, I want to give back to the person, something that they can take as a tool to work to start building their own confidence. And a lot of people I've read for have gone into more deeply into metaphysics, and you know, it's not woo-woo. It's here's how I can sort through stuff in a little with a little clearer mind and
Right.
find something on the other side. I the visual I always get is people, we walk up to a boulder and stop and go, well, there's a boulder on the way. Well, do you want to crawl over it? Can you go around it? Can you move it? And they don't even
Hmm.
think about that. It's like, well, I can't go any further.
Yeah. Yeah. They just
And
stop there without thought. Yeah.
yeah. So every boulder, or I could chip it down, but there's always something you can do
Hmm. Yeah. To remove it or get around it, whatever.
or
Not.
handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. In other words, when you walk up to the boulder, this isn't your whole view. All you can see is this, but you're thinking, but this isn't your whole view.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
amazing.
we just are trained to just stop. Not trained, but that's what humans
But
do.
it is, yeah. It is kind of trained. Yeah, I
Like,
know.
well, there's a boulder. I guess I can't go.
We get intimidated by
Yeah,
life
or
so
turn around. I
easily.
mean,
Yeah,
people, we all stand there and go, oh, this boulder, this boulder, this boulder. It's
right.
my
I
marriage,
know.
it's my job, it's whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
therefore what?
Hmm.
I try and teach people okay, here's the situation, therefore what? And you can just see
Right.
the light bulb come on. Oh, I actually am in charge of this, aren't I?
Yeah, I actually do have options. Yeah,
Mhm.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah. So if nothing else, please remember that.
Yeah. Hey, Sherry, thanks so much for being
Oh,
on the show. I really
thank you.
enjoyed it. I loved it. Thanks so much.